the whole reason you go to a teacher is ironically to want to actually aim for, so that one will not want. You understand? And that's, I'm not joking here, I'm not twisting any language, or I'm not trying to be clever, but that is the main aim, isn't it? I mean, that is the whole point of the tantric concept of guru. You don't want to leave guru independently at the end. I mean, you don't want to leave the guru outside there as an external savior. You want to realize your mind, nature of your mind is the guru. Guru is only a bridge. So ultimately, wanting something from an external source is something that we have to eliminate.
Okay. Well, it seems like, though, there's this point where people get stuck, where intellectually they know what you're saying is true, but they also have this kind of grasping quality towards the teacher.
Yes, yes. Well, it's a very complicated relationship. Like a Zen master said, to study Buddhism is to study about yourself. To study Buddhism is to study about yourself. To study about yourself is to forget about yourself. Yes, that says it. To actually, the ultimate aim of Dharma practice is to forget. Not to say forget, actually to really transcend, to go beyond all these distinctions. Now, that should be the fundamental base where we develop the student and teacher's relationship. But not many times it happens this way. Many times student and relationship is just another relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, man, woman. So that's why there's a game. When a student is insecure, students play games. When the guru is insecure also, gurus who are not accomplished, they have insecurity and they play games. That's why, first of all, students don't go to a teacher seeking for something they need. Rather, they go there to look for something they want. Similar thing happens from the teacher too. Many of us, many of the teachers like myself, we are not even brave enough to really give what the student really needs. And what student really needs could be very raw, very painful, very naked. And who has courage to do that? It's so difficult. Because many of us, we have agendas. Agenda is the big problem in this world, basically. One should be agenda free. We do know that we have to crush our ego. Now, in order to do that, we have to see a model, so if you like, okay, a model who has done it, okay, and we have to admire that model. And when we admire, then there's father, there's the leader, there's all that thing, Buddha, whatever. So that's the only way to go. I mean, how would you teach someone in order to crush their ego? Look at your teacher as your maid. It won't work.
But then
Maybe for some very peculiar people. But it does work when you need to look upon as someone higher than you, or someone who's more pure than you.
Is there a point where students can get stuck though, as in like a parental relationship, not trusting their own?
Oh yeah, that can happen. That's what I was saying before. Many teachers have many teachers don't have courage to give their children, their disciples, what they need, because they have agenda. They want to give them what they want, and that can spoil them. That can make them emotionally dependent on them. Very much. That's big responsibility for the teacher. If the teacher and the students are genuinely interested in the enlightenment, but if they just want to build a relationship, yeah, that's the way to go. One should be more superior, the other always a little bit inferior, attempting to become superior, but always one step behind, and that works. That's how the relationship works.
do you remember a point in your own practice where you stepped away from, that you went through this process?
Seeing my teacher as human beings, seeing my teacher as impure and all of that, all the time, even now. For instance, hypocrisy that people like I have, doing one thing in front of maybe a picture of my teachers, and do something else behind, you understand? And that shows that there is a lack of acceptance that your teacher is the Buddha. He knows everything. There is no such thing as behind the picture or in front.
How can we determine if a teacher is a genuine teacher?
That's a good question. It's very difficult, but especially as a deluded being, people like us, we can't. Our judgment, even we judge that someone is a really good teacher, how much can we trust with our own judgment? Many times our own judgment has failed us. This is why in Buddhism, study, contemplation, not accepting Buddhism with blind faith, with blind devotion, is very much stressed, especially initially, by the Buddha himself, again and again. Gangsala mitun cholatan, that's what he said. Not to depend on a person, but depend on the teachings that he gave you. And not simple like that. You have to. It will always be an insurance, okay, if you like, to study, contemplate on the Buddhist texts, study them, and then finally, once you are slightly matured, I would say, it's in this. Even all the other quality failed. Okay, maybe your teacher is not a learned, maybe not, I don't know, gentle, I don't know, straight enough, I don't know. But one thing that I think you should look for is a teacher who is not interested in himself. A teacher who is totally interested in you and fellow sentient beings.
Is there any value in Western students making a pilgrimage to Taksang or to Bodh Gaya?
Yeah. Pilgrimage, although it has become very ritual now, it's sort of devotional or ritualistic thing. the essence of going to all this pilgrimage is to remind ourselves that such beings exist. Not as a hero, okay? Not as someone who has done this, did this, but as an example. Like even going to places like Hiroshima probably can, even it is a minute, might remind you how we human beings destroy ourselves. It's like that. Going to Kushinagar, for instance, can remind you that life is impermanent, even the Buddha himself. Going to places like Saranath can remind you that one of the greatest, I'll just wait until that thing passes. Okay. One of the greatest thing that has been said in this world was said there. And then it might invoke a little interest. What did he say? Know the suffering. Abandon the cause of suffering, and so on and so on. So important, to remind ourselves. I mean, of course, if you're a good practitioner, you don't need these things, but I think one should help ourselves with all kinds of help. Even it requires some kind of gross reminder like a holy land, mountains, trees, whatever, Mm-hmm. It's like keeping the nostalgia, right? That's the word I was looking for. Nostalgia can open a door to many things. Nostalgia can be a fuel for creativity. Here we are talking about nostalgia of an enlightened being, and that may trigger the creativity in the sense of really valuing the Dhamma, spiritual path, and seeing futility of this worldly life. Devotion in Buddhism is actually trusting in cause, condition and effect. It's something that the scientists do. If you cook an egg, you need a certain cause and condition. Stove, pot, water, fire, gas, whatever. And if you have no obstacle, egg will be cooked. That's for sure. And you can trust on that. That's how for centuries people cook the egg, because of that. And that trust in cause, condition and effect is so-called devotion in Buddhism.
Can one make a movie without having an agenda?
Mm-hmm.
But you want to say something, isn't it, in the movie? Isn't that an agenda?
I think, yes. I think there is few directors who did that, right? Without any script. Without any sort of, not even knowing what is it that they are going to shoot. I have heard there are great directors who has done, and outcome are actually quite amazing film. I believe that. We are so stuck with a certain lifestyle, a lifestyle that needs to be arranged, programmed. It's getting worse, actually. We are getting further and further. We are getting more and more distant from spontaneity, and that is really creating all the big mess. I mean, like ecology. We are not happy to spontaneously just camp under a cave or a tree. We need to now have a hotel, for instance. So the credit cards and all of that. We human beings, we ask for program life. And somehow we think that secures everything. And now it's too late. I mean, if you want an excursion fare ticket, you have to book an air ticket 3 months before. No more spontaneity, my dear. My students, many of them take me very seriously, and actually that is one of the greatest living proof that karma does exist. Because here I am, out of nowhere, a Bhutanese, and there are people, I mean, from United States, from Canada, from France, and these people are very sophisticated. They are taught to think, they are taught to challenge, but now they are all sycophant. They believe everything what I say. This proves that these people have a lot of karmic debt with me, and they have to pay that debt, and they will keep on believing in my word. Western students are very, very fresh. And that's a very, very big advantage. Easterners, they're more confident with the path, and just because there's a trust, because I guess it's the society. It's a like extended family. If the mother is busy shopping, she can trust and live it with like the 14th uncle or the auntie, whatever. So that also is within the Dhamma. Like there is that trust. But you see, the thing is, the very trust can also has its own disadvantage, because then it becomes blind faith. The very freshness of the West, the freshness, the inquisitive, inquisitive or skeptical, they are very good quality. But then sometimes this can also go too far. You end up not practicing anything, because you are just analyzing all the time. Okay.
I'll ask one question. I'll stick my neck out here. Your students consider you enlightened, Rinpoche. Do you consider yourself enlightened?
Me? No, because I am still a victim of condition. If I'm enlightened, then I shouldn't be. If the students keep on thinking that I'm enlightened, it will only benefit them. If there is benefit, that is. Okay? That's where the Buddhist teachings on mind comes in. You see, everything is your mind.
Can you say a bit more about that, Rinpoche? I know you've said it many times other places, but just for purposes of this.
It's like, it's like, let's say you are, I don't know, you are in a bus or something, and person hopped in the bus and sat next to you, and this person may be, I don't know, going through a big problem, and you, without even you realizing, You didn't do anything. Maybe you just sat there, right? But somehow this person thinks that you have helped him a lot. I don't know, by stepping over his toes or something, I don't know. Now, he is not your healer or he is not your liberator. But the other person thinks so. Understand? And it will give the other person a sort of benefit. It can give the other person the benefit of keep on thinking that this person helps you. This happens a lot. I received so many thank you notes from people, thanking me for helping them because when they were in this and that danger, I don't know, turmoil, depression. And honestly, I tell you, I wasn't thinking about them at all. Like they would say, oh, thank you for your prayer, now it's all okay. Sometimes I don't even know who the person is writing to me, you understand? Let alone actually think them in the prayer. Similarly, this happens a lot. Actually, this is something I should tell you. Because as much as the student, many people think the student is more like a weaker side, and the teacher is the power side, isn't it? Sometimes it's not that true. You know what I mean? I think there's a word. The teacher's side is the power, the stage of, you as a teacher you can control. That's what people think, but that's not necessarily true. For instance, like I have, personally, I've had some problems with some ladies whom I don't even know. I don't have any connection with them, but they think that I did. Maybe I might have smiled at them or shake hand with them or said something, and they take it so seriously. Everything is your mind or interpretation of your mind. Everything is your imagination, and there is nothing that is not an imagination. Therefore, imagination is very powerful. Imagination is only reality that we have. Within the imagination, there is a fantasy and the reality in the relative world. Buddhists in general, they are trying to train people's mind to think on gentleness, kindness, love, compassion, and so on and so on. That's all path. But when you talk about everything as mind, you are approaching to the ultimate truth. Ultimately, yes, as we approach to the ultimate truth, first thing we have to realize is that then we are not talking about path, okay? You see, don't bring the path in here. When we talk about a path, of course we have to talk about goodness and badness and all that. What needs to be abandoned, what needs to be practiced. But as we approach to the ultimate, then we don't talk this anymore.
We don't talk.
There's a good example. A woman who desperately wishes to have a baby, dreams that she is pregnant and even given birth. She is so happy. Within the very same dream, baby dies. she's very unhappy. She wakes up. The happiness of the having the baby and the pain of the death of the baby are all gone. The third experience is what Buddhists are trying to aim. Not to have the baby, not to have the baby, but to go beyond that. Okay.
Thank you, Rinpoche.